Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm glad you're here. Today, we'll be exploring a very important and often overlooked aspect of relationships. The title of our talk is The Narcissistic Wife, 10 Ways She Treats Her Husband. We'll be discussing how, in many cases, a man's experience with a narcissistic partner can be deeply challenging, sometimes even devastating. We'll look at patterns based on clinical insights, trauma psychology, and real-world relationship dynamics. Over the next few slides, I'll walk you through the 10 common ways a narcissistic wife may treat her husband, highlighting what to look out for and how these patterns develop. So, let's get started and delve into this complex but crucial topic. Her instability can create a lot of confusion, fear, and emotional exhaustion. At first, you might think it's just passion or intensity, but over time, it can turn into a real psychological minefield. You may notice constant emotional antagonism, where it feels like you're walking on eggshells. Early in the relationship, her behavior might seem erratic, and you might even see rage episodes or intense mood swings. These signs are often clear indicators of underlying emotional volatility. A narcissistic wife often leads with chaos, warning you that she's crazy, hard to handle, or that you'll regret being with her. But she frames these warnings as honesty, not manipulation. It's important to recognize that this unpredictability can be a red flag signaling deeper issues beneath the surface. Understanding these patterns helps you see that, sometimes, what might look like passion is actually a sign of emotional instability that can be very challenging to handle over time. Slowly, your world begins to shrink. You find yourself shrinking emotionally and socially, not because you want to, but because you're trying to avoid conflict. You start to stop truly living and instead focus on managing her reactions. This means you become very careful about what you wear, what you say, or what you do, always thinking about how she might respond. It affects how you spend your time, where you feel comfortable going, and who you're able to talk to. To a narcissistic woman, your independence can feel like a threat to her control. So, she micromanages every aspect of your life. She wants to control not just your actions, but also your thoughts and your relationships. This constant need for control is about maintaining her sense of superiority and power. And the more she controls, the more your world becomes smaller, until you're caught in a cycle where your independence is steadily chipped away. No amount of sacrifice ever truly satisfies her. You find yourself giving more and more, your patience, your emotional labor, your money, your time, hopping to get something in return. But what happens? She appreciates less and less. It's like no matter what you do, it's never enough. She offers little in return but demands everything. She might ask, "What have you done for me lately?" As if that's the only way to measure your worth. At the beginning of the relationship, she may have love-bombed you, showing affection, giving attention, sharing intimacy, expressing admiration. It feels overwhelming in a good way. But once she sees that you're fully invested, her attitude shifts. That's when she starts to feel entitled. She takes everything for granted, your efforts, your resources, your time. And that's the key point here. She feels entitled and expects you to keep giving without recognizing or appreciating what you do. It's a pattern that can be incredibly draining if you're not aware of it. Understanding this dynamic is crucial, as we explore how these behaviors impact the relationship and what you can do about it. What we're seeing here is that, in many cases, the woman isn't truly addicted to love itself, but rather to the idea of love, idealization, fantasy, and the adrenaline rush that comes with it. She's caught up in the illusion, not the reality of building a stable, genuine relationship. When real intimacy starts to develop and things get serious, she often panics. Instead of embracing the vulnerability, she may devalue you or blame you for not living up to her fantasies. It's important to understand that, in her mind, she sees herself as always the victim. This pattern can become quite dangerous. Think stalkers, people who seem crazy, toxic behaviors, even abusive tendencies. A narcissistic wife, for example, often has a long trail of exes, and she's quick to describe each one as the problem, never taking responsibility herself. She's not owning her part in the failed relationships, which makes accountability almost impossible. This pattern of avoiding responsibility and blaming others is a key sign of narcissistic tendencies and can be very destructive in relationships. She demands sympathy but refuses responsibility, which can be incredibly draining. You find yourself stepping into the role of her emotional caretaker, healer, punching bag, and therapist, none of which are actually your role or your job. It's important to recognize that expecting you to tolerate this damage without setting boundaries is unfair and unhealthy. Often, she blames past trauma for her behavior, claiming she's self-aware and that her issues are rooted in her history. However, she refuses to engage in therapy or seek help, which only prolongs the cycle. Trauma is real, and it can have a profound impact, but it does not give anyone a free pass to abuse others. When someone refuses to address their mental health or addiction issues, but still expects you to manage them, it puts you in an impossible situation. You're not responsible for fixing or managing her untreated struggles. Recognizing this is key to protecting your well-being and maintaining healthy boundaries. And when the performance ends, manipulation begins. Then she reveals the truth. She wants the lifestyle, not you. Until you're locked in. Pretend to be everything you want. Mirror your desires. Act like your dream girl at first. She will do this to draw you in, to make you feel special. But here, the key point, if her primary interest is money, status, lifestyle, or what you can provide, the relationship quickly becomes transactional. This is what we call the gold digger dynamic. She uses you financially, often without genuine affection. It's all about what she can get from you, not who you are. And that's a crucial aspect to recognize, especially if you want meaningful relationships. Helping her stops feeling noble and starts feeling impossible, and eventually, she blames you for not doing enough. You become her rescuer, but every problem you fix creates 10 new ones. This cycle feeds into manipulative, poor me narratives, where she plays the victim to gain sympathy or control. It often leads to emotional disasters, chaotic, unpredictable situations that drain your energy. Endless misfortune and constant crises become the norm, making it seem like there's no way out. A narcissistic wife frequently positions herself at the center of this never-ending drama, perpetuating the cycle. And one key way she does this is by playing the chronic victim, always portraying herself as helpless or wronged. This keeps her in the spotlight and keeps you caught up in her emotional whirlpool. Understanding this pattern is crucial because it highlights how her manipulation can trap you and how important it is to set healthy boundaries. So here's an important point to understand about hypocrisy in this dynamic. If you behave the same way she does, she would literally explode with rage. Hypocrisy is actually a core narcissistic trait. It's like she's holding herself to a different standard than she does everyone else. She's often jealous, immature, controlling, and insecure. And if you ever express discomfort or set boundaries, she's quick to call you out or dismiss your feelings. You might notice that she keeps certain people in her life, male friends, male coworkers, exes, anyone who can feed her ego. She's constantly seeking emotional stimulation, admiration, validation, and attention. And here's the key point. She constantly needs attention from other men and uses it as leverage. She's basically leveraging her interactions with other men to boost her own ego, and that's a big part of how she maintains control and validation. Understanding this pattern helps us see how her need for attention isn't just about companionship, but also about feeding her narcissistic supply. It's a cycle that keeps her feeling powerful and validated at your expense. She is not truly committed to you. Rather, she's committed to controlling your emotional state. This creates an emotional roller coaster, leading to confusion, trauma bonding, and an unhealthy addiction to her approval. Whenever you start focusing on yourself, she pulls you back in, sometimes with affection, promises, or attention. Then she disappears emotionally, makes excuses, and avoids intimacy. She pulls away again, and this cycle continues. This push-pull game keeps you emotionally hooked. Her insecurity becomes your burden, and love starts to feel like an obligation. The more you give, whether it's reassurance, financial support, decision-making, or emotional stability, the more she takes. And the more she takes, the less she appreciates. It becomes a constant cycle of giving and taking, with little genuine reciprocation. At first, it might feel good to be needed, to be the one providing support and stability. But over time, this dynamic can become suffocating. You're caught in a cycle where your efforts are never enough, and the emotional toll can be overwhelming. Recognizing this pattern is crucial because it's about understanding the emotional manipulation and the unhealthy dependency that can develop in such relationships.